Honourable Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I am proud to present Economic Action Plan 2015, our government's plan for growth and opportunity. It is a prudent and principled plan that will see Canadians more prosperous, more secure, and ever more confident in our country's place in the world. The story of Canada has always been the story of opportunity. Opportunity is what has drawn people here from around the world, generation after generation. It is what draws them still. Opportunity for themselves and for their families. The opportunity to work hard, dream big, and achieve those dreams. On a personal note, I will be forever grateful to my grandparents for their fateful decision to immigrate to Canada more than 100 years ago. Like so many others, they chose liberation over oppression, opportunity over stagnation, a bright future over a gathering storm. The federal budget is, on the face of it, about dollars and cents. But on a more fundamental level, it is a path to opportunity, and it is in this spirit that I present it today. I do so acknowledging that we live in what continues to be challenging times. Partout dans le monde, de nombreux pays, y compris certains de nos amis et alliés, cherchent toujours la sécurité budgétaire. La croissance mondiale a été faible à la suite de la grande récession. L'incertitude géopolitique continue d'entraver la reprise. Et bien entendu, la chute radicale du prix du pétrole a ébranlé notre économie. Still, the news for Canada is by and large good. Amid the tumult, our country remains a beacon of economic stability and security built on a foundation of sound financial management. Now, I cannot go further, Mr. Speaker, without saluting the man who, through fiscal acumen, careful stewardship, and love of country, can take so much credit for this, my predecessor, Jim Flaherty. It is because of Mr. Flaherty's efforts and the leadership of our Prime Minister that we are in a position to move forward. It is because of their disciplined and deliberate choices in dark times that rather than privation and painful austerity, we face a future of opportunity and possibilities. That path is the right path for Canada. I recall the words of another man who, half a century ago, served as Canada's Minister of Finance, the Honourable Donald Fleming. Like me, he was a proud member of a Conservative government, and like me, he had the honour of representing the good people of Eglinton, the predecessor to my own riding of Eglinton-Lawrence in the great city of Toronto. We have withstood the disturbing calm of recession, and the winds of prosperity again fill our sails, he told this House. With a united, determined, and confident population, Canada marches on unflinchingly towards its bright destiny. Monsieur le Président, la taille de notre économie est maintenant considérablement plus importante qu'elle ne l'était avant la récession. et la performance du Canada à ce chapitre continue de susciter l'envie des autres pays de G7. Les observateurs internationaux s'attendent à ce que la croissance du Canada, qui est déjà en longueur d'avance sur celle des autres pays au cours de la reprise, continue d'être vigoureuse. Ils s'attendent aussi à ce que notre ratio de la dette nette de PIB demeure le plus faible parmi les pays du G7. The causes of global financial challenges are complex and largely beyond our control. But our responses, the choices we have made, have been direct and unambiguous. We have cut taxes to their lowest level in more than half a century. We have made the largest, longest federal infrastructure commitment in our country's history. We have negotiated free trade deals that encompass more than half the global economy. We've increased transfers to the provinces and territories to record levels to support health care and education. And we have done all this while controlling spending. For generations, Canadian families have understood the path to prosperity. Don't compromise tomorrow by spending recklessly today. Don't pile on debt you can't afford, and invest sensibly for a secure future. For governments, the principles are the same. We have been prudent, we have been practical, and we have stuck to our plan. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to announce this budget is balanced. This year, we are forecasting a $1.4 billion surplus and growing surpluses thereafter. Monsieur le Président, je suis fier d'annoncer que ce budget que je dépose aujourd'hui est un budget équilibré. Cette année, nous prévoyons un excédent de 1,4 milliard de dollars et des excédents en hausse pour les années à venir. Précisons que cela n'est pas le fruit du hasard. Il a fallu de travail acharné, une attention à tous les détails et une volonté ferme. Certains sous-estiment la discipline nécessaire pour atteindre cet objectif, laissant entendre que les budgets s'équilibrent d'eux-mêmes.
Qui dit ça, là? Who said that?
Ils ne savent pas qu'il faut faire pour y arriver ou pourquoi il est si important de le faire. Perhaps they never will. But a balanced budget is the only way to ensure long-term prosperity for Canadians. It clears the path for further tax relief. It bolsters our top credit rating, supports lower interest payments, and inspires greater consumer and investor confidence. It protects health care and education. It strengthens our ability to respond to the unavoidable and the unexpected in a volatile world. And it means importantly that we can leave our children and our grandchildren an even more secure and prosperous country, not a hangover from reckless selfishness. When our government first came to power, we worked hard to reduce Canada's substantial federal debt, and we did it in short order by more than $37 billion.
Great.
Then, in 2008, the world was rocked by the greatest financial meltdown since the Great Depression. It was not a crisis of our making, but it was nevertheless one we could not escape. So we undertook extraordinary measures to protect the financial security of Canadians. But we did it with a clear and prudent plan to return to balance. You cannot borrow our way to prosperity, no matter what our opponents might say. Their path, the path of spending money we do not have on bureaucratic programs we do not need, leads to the crushing structural deficits that plagued this country for years. Mr. Speaker, when our Liberal opponents tried it, they found themselves in an economic swamp of their own creation. And by the time they figured out the disaster the country was facing, the only way out were brutal cuts to programs Canadians counted on. George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Et pourtant, si on leur en donne l'occasion, certains semblent déterminés à tenter de réécrire l'histoire. En ignorant les leçons du passé, ils proposent la voie qui mène au déclin économique, un parcours qui ne peut pas connaître une fin heureuse. Mr. Speaker, it will not end well. Lorsque notre gouvernement conservateur a lancé son programme de stimulation économique, nous avons fait une promesse solennelle au peuple canadien. A promise made, a promise kept. Mr. Speaker, this budget is written in black ink. This is the responsible way forward for Canada, which is why we also have introduced balanced budget legislation. This legislation will recognize that in times of crisis, a deficit may be the appropriate action, but only with a plan to return to balance and only with an accompanying freeze on operating spending. Mr. Speaker, I would now like to talk about tax restraint. Our approach has been clear and consistent. Take as little as possible and give back as much as you can. It all starts with the bedrock of our country, the family. Raising a family is hard work, and like our opponents, we prefer to leave it to the experts, Mom and Dad. It also costs a lot of money, which is why in recent months we expanded the universal child care benefit, introduced the family tax cut, increased the child care expense deduction limits, and doubled the children's fitness tax credit. These measures will make life more affordable for all Canadian families with children. Grâce à ces mesures, une famille type de 4 personnes ayant 2 revenus disposera de 6 600 $ de plus en 2015.
Wow.
Il est essentiel d'aider les familles maintenant, mais il est tout aussi important de les aider à prévoir un meilleur avenir. Our low tax measures are extremely important, and one that I am particularly proud of is the tax-free savings account. When we introduced TFSAs in Budget 2008, it was the most significant boost to Canadians' ability to save for their future since the creation of the RRSP. Since then, close to 11 million Canadians, mostly low and middle-income Canadians, have opened a TFSA. Who are these Canadians? They are the people you see in the coffee shop and at the rink and in your place of worship. Half make less than $42,000 a year. Some are saving money to buy their first home or start their first business. Some are saving to put their children through college or university. Others are putting away extra money to make their hard-earned retirement more comfortable and enjoyable. In fact, more than half the people currently maxing out their TFSA contributions are low and middle-income Canadians over the age of 55. Mr. Speaker, I'm also very pleased to announce, therefore, that we will increase the TFSA annual contribution limit from the current $5,500 to $10,000. This is another promise made, another promise kept. We are also making life easier for the almost 4 million Canadians living with some form of disability. Many Canadians with disabilities, as well as seniors, want to enjoy greater independence living in the comfort of their homes. To help, we will create a new and permanent home accessibility tax credit, which will support. It will support those who want to renovate their dwellings to make them safer, more accessible, and more functional. Notre gouvernement affiche un excellent bilan en ce qui concerne le soutien offert aux personnes atteintes de troubles de spectre de l'autisme ainsi qu'à leurs proches. Notre budget mise sur cet appui et accorde des financements visant à mieux comprendre l'autisme ainsi que les besoins de ceux qui en sont atteints et les défis uniques auxquels ils sont confrontés. We will also implement changes to the Copyright Act to implement the Marrakesh Treaty, allowing the 1 million Canadians with visual impairments greater access to adopted books and other printed material. Mr. Speaker, we want older Canadians to enjoy the golden years that are their reward after decades of hard work and diligent saving. Our government has already greatly expanded the guaranteed income supplement for very low-income seniors. Today, I am pleased to announce that we will give seniors more choice when it comes to managing their retirement income by reducing the minimum withdrawal requirements for registered retirement income funds. For more and more Canadians, caring for family not only means making sure the kids get the best start possible in life, it means being there for parents and other elderly relatives through their final days. When someone you love is gravely ill, you should be free to focus on what matters most. And that is why we are extending the employment insurance compassionate care benefits period from the current 6 weeks to 6 months. Along with supporting Canadian families, our government's priority has always been the creation and protection of opportunity for Canadians. Indeed, since the depths of the global recession, Canada has had one of the best job creation records in the G7. How did we do this? We cut taxes and slashed red tape, and we will continue to do both. Now, it is no secret that small businesses are critical to the health of the Canadian economy. They employ half of all Canadians in the private sector and contribute over 40% of our private sector GDP. And that is why we've worked so hard to support them over the years and continue to do so. We've lowered the small business tax rate to 11% and increased the amount of annual income eligible for this lower rate. Today, I am pleased to announce that our government will reduce the tax rate further, all the way down to 9% by 2019. This will be the largest tax rate cut for small businesses in more than 25 years. Les petites entreprises partout au pays pourront se servir de ces économies d'impôts supplémentaires pour stimuler la croissance, investir dans le capital et embaucher plus d'employés. Manufacturing accounts for more than 10% of our GDP and over 60% of our merchandise exports, and employs 1.7 million people all across the country. Some have questioned the role of manufacturing in Canada's future economic success. We do not. For this government, the words "Made in Canada" continue to fuel pride and inspire confidence. But we must give manufacturers the tools they need to create the products and the jobs of the future. And that is why I'm pleased to announce that we will help to boost the sector's productivity by introducing a 10-year investment incentive that will allow a faster write-off for machinery and equipment. We are also launching the Automobile Supplier Innovation Program. This investment of $100 million over the next 5 years will support our auto parts industry as it meets the constantly evolving demands of automakers and consumers. Monsieur le Président, nous continuerons de collaborer avec les provinces et les territoires dans le domaine de la formation axée sur les compétences. De plus, nous rassemblerons les employeurs et les éducateurs pour faire en sorte que les compétences de nos diplômés soient compatibles avec les besoins de notre économie. Pour les étudiants universitaires les plus doués et les plus prometteurs au Canada, nous augmenterons notre appui aux stages qui permettent à ces derniers de se concentrer sur la recherche axée sur l'industrie. For students who need to work to put themselves through school, the current in-study income limit of the Canada Student Loan Program is a barrier. We will remove it. We will also reduce the program's parental contribution requirement to make it easier for middle-class families to finance the education of their children. We will make permanent our Foreign Credentials Recognition Loans Program, which helps skilled newcomers cover the cost of having their qualifications recognized here. And we will extend the Working While on Claim Employment Insurance pilot project, which gives unemployed Canadians the ability to accept some work that could lead to learning new skills or even full-time employment while protecting their EI benefits. Monsieur le Président, le Canada attire maintenant les cerveaux les plus brillants du monde entier dans le domaine des sciences, de la recherche et du développement. To build on this success, we will make a significant new investment of $1.3 billion over 6 years through the Canada Foundation for Innovation. we will do that to ensure our researchers continue to have the leading-edge lab facilities they need to be the best in the world. While all their work is about changing lives, some of it is about saving them. A case in point, the Canadian Institutes of Health Research has been searching for a solution to drug-resistant infections. We will provide stable, multi-year funding for this important work.
Good idea.
And to help meet the challenges of an aging population, we will likewise provide stable, multi-year funding towards the establishment of the Canadian Centre for Aging and Brain Health Innovation based at Baycrest Health Services in Toronto.
Wonderful.
Depuis l'époque de dernier mille, l'infrastructure a joué un rôle essentiel pour assurer le succès du Canada en tant que pays, ce qui explique pourquoi il s'agit d'une des grandes priorités de notre gouvernement. Notre nouveau plan Chantier Canada représente le plus important investissement fédéral à long terme dans l'infrastructure de l'histoire de notre pays. Indeed, our investments in infrastructure is 3 times greater than the previous governments. But building this great country is a project that never ends. Anyone who lives in or near or thriving in fast-growing cities knows the reality of traffic gridlock. So I'm pleased to announce the launch of a major new infrastructure program, the Public Transit Fund. This program, increasing to $1 billion per year by 2019, will be a permanent source of funding to provinces and municipalities for major public transit projects. This fund will result in more money for more transit projects by requiring a significant role for the private sector and by allowing for a more flexible payment approach. It will also drive efficiency in the design and costing of transit projects. Certains des investisseurs en matière d'infrastructures du secteur privé parmi les plus importants et les plus expérimentés au monde vivent au Canada. Dans le cadre de la mise en œuvre de ces fonds, leur participation et leur expertise seront requises pour réaliser des projets abordables pour les contribuables et efficients pour les usagers. Canada's prosperity has always been rooted in our wealth of natural resources. From the bounty of our seas to the abundance of the earth, these riches provide good, well-paying jobs for almost 2 million Canadians. Measures we will take to support this sector include the Forest Innovation Program, an expanding market opportunities program to help Canadian forestry companies adopt emerging technologies and develop new markets for Canada's wood product exports. And Mr. Speaker, when someone makes working the land or the sea their life's work, they have earned everything they have put into that enterprise. So we will raise the lifetime capital gains exemption to $1 million for those we will do that for those who make their living in farming or fishing. We are proud of our record when it comes to the responsible development of our natural resources and will continue to pursue the vast opportunities with which we are blessed. At the same time, we will only proceed with projects that are safe for Canadians and safe for our environment. Mr. Speaker, we take this stewardship seriously. We are the only government in our nation's history to reduce Canada's greenhouse gas emissions. Proof that emissions can decline even as economic growth continues. To build on this record of good stewardship, Economic Action Plan 2015 includes investments to enhance marine transportation safety in the Arctic, as well as to strengthen environmental protection, spill prevention, and response measures in Canadian waters. Now, Mr. Speaker, I want to address the dangerous world we live in. We say this often because it is true. Government has no greater responsibility than protecting the lives of its people. Our government understands the present dangers and is determined to respond responsibly without ambiguity or moral equivocation. Therefore, this budget includes measures to ensure the continued safety of Canadians. D'abord, il faut le dire, les terroristes djihadistes qui ont proclamé un soi-disant califat au Moyen-Orient ont déclaré la guerre au Canada et aux Canadiens. En réponse, nous nous sommes joints au combat à l'étranger et ici au Canada. We are extremely grateful to the men and women in uniform who put their lives on the line every day defending our freedoms. Our government will ensure they continue to have what they need to accomplish the dangerous tasks Canadians ask of them. We will increase the annual escalator for national defence budgets to 3% starting in 2017-18. As a result, our spending on Canada's military will increase by $11.8 billion over 10 years. Meanwhile, the RCMP and CSIS will have new resources to not only investigate and prevent further terrorist attacks on Canadian soil, but to protect vulnerable young people susceptible to the lies and manipulation of ISIS recruiters, preventing them from throwing away their lives by traveling abroad to join the terrorists' reprehensible cause. Thanks to Canada, threats to Canada, I should say, are not limited to jihadis with guns and bombs. We will also protect Canada's most vital and essential services, including financial systems and communication grids. Our government is also focused on making our streets and communities safer from crime and putting the concerns of victims at the head of our justice system. Notre gouvernement a toujours soutenu le dynamisme des collectivités car il est fermement convaincu qu'elles constituent la pierre angulaire de notre pays. Central to making our communities great is the willingness of Canadians to help others. Today, I'm happy to say we will make that easier to do. We will create a capital gains tax exemption for public-spirited Canadians who wish to donate private shares or real estate when the proceeds of their sale are directed to a charity. For Canadians who support loved ones in other countries, we will take steps to make sure more of their money makes it to the recipient and less is gobbled up in administrative costs. Et pour aider les entreprises canadiennes qui veulent investir dans les pays en développement tout en aidant ces pays à sortir de la pauvreté, nous établirons une initiative de financement du développement. L'objectif sera d'offrir du financement, de l'aide technique et des services conseils destinés aux entreprises qui exercent leurs activités dans les pays en développement. Mr. Speaker, this entire budget is about our unflinching march into the future. So we must never forget our rich and inspiring history, because that history guides our future. As our 150th anniversary approaches, we have set aside substantial funds for the celebrations, both on a national scale and at the community level. Almost 150 years ago, the Fathers of Confederation had grand dreams and ambitions. If they could see us now, I think they would be pleased with the Canada we have become. We have been through some trying times, but now our hard work, the hard work of all Canadians, is paying off. Those winds of prosperity are powering us to an even brighter future. These are times of immense opportunity for Canada, but also of substantial risk. The choices we make can assure a secure and prosperous Canada for generations to come. Together, let us make the greatest country in the world even greater. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.